What's up, guys? Did the sharpening, not sharpening, serrated edge versus plain edge video, and I mentioned that I may do a video showing how to sharpen serrations if there was a audience base for that, and there obviously is because a lot of people ask me to do it. So it's going to be hard for me to do this on camera because it's not the typical sharpening where I can lay a stone down and just run it back and forth. I need area, I need space to do this. I can't just set the camera up. It has to be kind of dynamic. So I'm gonna try and do this as best I can, and I guess we'll just get to it. I'll show you a sharpness right now. The serrations are sharp enough to push cut paper, so they technically don't need sharpening, but since I like you guys, I'll go ahead and dull the serrations up where it won't cut anything. I mean, it'll still saw. Of course, it's a serrated knife. It'll saw through anything, but it's dull. I mean, it's definitely dull. All right. The tools you're going to need is a Sharpie marker. You're going to need either some very narrow stones like these Spyderco profile rods, or you're going to need regular bench stones, and you can just use the corner of that stone. Like this. Say if it doesn't work on DMT stones because the corner actually doesn't have any diamonds in the media. It's just on the flat. But if, say this were a wet stone, a water stone, you could use the corner of the stone. That would work fine. You can use rods to a Spyderco sharp maker. You can honestly just sharpen serrations right on the sharp maker without taking the rods out. But I like to do it a little differently. So you need narrow stones, a Sharpie marker, you need a strop like this, and you're not going to be able to strop it like normal. You will strop the non-cut side, which this side has serrations cut in it, this side doesn't. So you will strop the non-cut side like this, but you'll strop the cut side again on the corner like that. That's all the tools you need, honestly. If it's very badly damaged, you may need, I don't know, a belt sander, maybe, something. I'm talking about if it's very damaged. If it's just dull from cutting, this will work perfectly. So what you're going to want to do is take the Sharpie, and you're going to want to color on the serrations. Make them all black so they have color. Alright, now since I damaged this knife to a fair extent, I'm going to need to use the medium stone. If it just needed a touch up, I could just use the fine. But I am going to need to repair some damage, so I'm going to use the medium stone. What you're going to want to do is try and sharpen on the corner of one of these because the flat still won't work. You still need a corner. And you're going to want to try and match the bevel. These are chisel ground serrations, so they're only cut in on one side, the other side's flat. So you're going to want to try and match that angle. So that's what we're going to try and do now. I'm just going to pick the stone up like this, and I'm going to do a test run and see where I'm at. That was way too shallow, so I'm going to raise my angle a little bit. Do a couple more passes. Again, this is extremely awkward to do on camera, so I do apologize if you can't see everything. Fairly certain I've matched my bevel. Yes, I have. Okay, this is what it's going to look like when you've matched your bevel. It's not going to take 100% of the Sharpie off. You're just looking for it to take off the Sharpie at the top and the bottom. You can see the actual cutting edge is devoid of marker, so is the top. sometimes the stone just won't get into all the scallops, so it's going to leave a little bit of Sharpie. The key is getting the Sharpie going from the top and the bottom. That way you know you've matched your bevel. Speaking of these profile rods, Spyderco has discontinued these, so if you want a pair, you're going to need to pick them up now. So what you're going to want to do once you've found your angle, which I have, you're just going to want to make not slight, but very slow passes with moderate pressure. A good rule of thumb with pressure on sharpening stones, something I've been telling people for a while now, just thought of it the other day. When people PM me and ask me about sharpening, I tell them this. I use no more pressure on the stones than I do pressure on the toothbrush when I'm brushing my teeth. So if you're putting a lot of pressure on the stones and you're like, well, I would never put that much pressure on my teeth when I'm brushing them, then lighten your pressure, back off a little bit, and you should get better results. But anyway, just going to want to make a few slow passes, and the reason I'm not going real fast is because I'll just end up skipping over all the teeth. It'll just bounce from tooth to tooth and not actually get up in the scallops. So I'm going to want to go slow and make sure I get inside each one of those little scallops. You can see it kind of bouncing across the stone. You're just going to want to do this until you raise a burr. That's all you're looking to do. It'll be quite obvious when you've raised a burr on this because this side is flat. Of course, this side of the knife is flat. So if you run your fingernail down it and then it catches like that, see and hear it, there's definitely a burr through the whole length of the edge. If there was no burr, your fingernail would just slip right off. There would be no catch at all. So we do have a burr. That's good. What you're going to want to do after you've formed your burr, you're going to want to take this corner and lay the edge flat on the stone. You don't want any angle at all. You just want to lay the blade flat on the stone and do a pass. A couple very, very, very light passes. And what that's going to do is clean the burr off this side and hopefully not flip it over there, and it's just going to leave you with a clean serrated edge. Normally not one time isn't enough for me. After I've cleaned the burr off, I like to do at least three or four more light passes and then another deburring pass. And that honestly is enough. That's enough. If you wanted to stop there just for a good working edge, that's more than enough. And I'll show you right here. If I could get in. I may still have a little bit of a burr left. Let me clean it off. Well, obviously it's not enough and we have more work to do. Unless I have a burr. If it does like this, you think you're done, take your strop and strop at the same angle you sharpened at, but on the corner of the strop. You're going to want to get in those serrations, and you're going to want to come back on the flat side and just do the flat. Let's see if that helped us at all. Keep in mind this paper is extremely flimsy, and if a knife can cut this, then it's really sharp. So it may just not be at this level. Which it is push cutting a little bit. But it's nothing like it was before. As you can see, it's still fairly dull. Definitely sharp enough to cut something. I mean, more than sharp enough to cut something. But it's not that razor edge serration like we had before. Keep in mind though, it's more than sharp enough to cut anything other than paper. Like that's grabbing my fingers pretty well. So say you want a razor edge, serrated edge. Almost 11 minutes. I need to speed this up. Same deal with the fine stone. You're just going to want to use the corner. Same angle until you form a burr. And this is just going to refine that very edge. The medium stone is going to leave somewhat of a toothy edge. This is just going to refine that a little bit more, give you more of a polish. And you're just looking for a burr, which I do have. Have a fairly large burr, one you can actually see. You see how it's shiny at the edge? That's a burr. A very, 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 very big burr. And I'll actually show you the difference. Look at that right now. And after I clean the burr off. See how it's not shiny anymore? There's a little bit of it left. It's just my deburring stroke. You're sharpening at this angle, then you're going to want to lay the stone, the blade flat on the stone and deburr. And there you go. You can see how the burr is gone. It doesn't appear shiny anymore on this side. But the burr has flipped to the other side, so we're going to need to do a little bit more sharpening. Sometimes the burr is stubborn and it will just flip from side to side. And in that case, you're just going to want to do the same process, just alternate it. Just do 10 strokes on this side and then 2 or 3 strokes deburring, then do 6 strokes on this side and then deburr it, and then do 2 strokes and then deburr it, and then do 1 stroke and deburr it. And that should to get rid of any wire edge you have on there that's stubborn. And I'll show you what it looks like with a Sharpie. We've been sharpening at that angle, so you can see it's almost clean of any Sharpie mark. So that means that we've been keeping our angle pretty consistent, and it's been hitting pretty much all of those inner scallops, the inner teeth. So that's a good thing. We're keeping our angle consistent. I'm going to do just a few more passes on here. I'm going to deburr it. I'm going to do 2 strokes, deburr it, and do 1 stroke, deburr it. Now let's see what we're like with paper. We're now push cutting paper, but we could have a much cleaner edge than that. That's still got some remnants of a burr and dirty edge on it. So we're just going to do a couple deburring passes. Remember, just laying it flat. We're not doing any angle at all. And we're going to come on the corner of the strop and strop at the same angle that we sharpened at. Just doing a couple light passes. Come back and always do your deburring stroke. These steels that the Leathermen use on their serrated knives, they never use premium steels. So these are really bad about keeping a wire edge. It'll just flip-flop from side to side. Better steels like Spyderco uses won't be as stubborn as this, so keep that in mind. Alright, we'll flip to the other side, do a couple passes on this. And then we should have a push cutting serrated edge that is going to be sharp enough to do anything. Let's see what we have. Oh yeah, as you can see, it's definitely sharp now. I'm not doing any sawing action with this. It's literally just getting up inside one of those teeth, and I'm just push cutting with that tooth. I'm not making a slicing motion at all. I'm just catching it and push cutting through. So there you go. Sharpening serrated edges is not that difficult if you know what you're doing. It just takes a little bit of practice and a steady hand, and you can get a serrated edge to push cut just like a plain edge if it's sharp enough. So there you go, guys. Let me know if this answered your questions. If you want to see the sharpness again, it's definitely push cutting. It's hard to cut paper with a serrated edge. You cannot make any slicing motion at all. Otherwise the teeth just kind of catch and rip the paper. It's sharp though, definitely sharp. Right now, this would be able to cut pretty much anything and zip right through it. So, as you can see, pretty much all of the Sharpie is gone after we stropped and everything, and we just have clean serrations. The teeth should be brought back if they were dull. This technique will bring the teeth back. Not if they were damaged though. If they were really, really damaged, it will not bring it back. So, anyway, there it is, from dull to push cutting phone book paper serrations. Hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.